Assalamu alaikum guys, I hope you're doing well. So in this video I'm going to discuss about the obligatory parts of the prayer. So let me recap for you that in Islam the prayer that we perform can be categorized into three categories, and these are: number one, the pillars of the prayer, and number two is what we call as the obligatory parts of the prayer, and then the final is called the sunnah. So I have already explained you the definition of each of these three categories. So let me just go ahead and recap it once again. So the first is what we call as the pillars of prayer. So pillars of the prayer is very essential. If you miss it, any of it, by mistake or out of forgetfulness or deliberately, no matter whatever the reason, your prayer is going to be invalid. Okay, so that is the definition for the pillars of the prayer. Now the second category is what we call as the obligatory parts of the prayer. Now, the obligatory parts of the prayer is the definition, if I have to describe, is that it is basically the part of the prayer which, if you miss it out of forgetfulness or by mistake, then your prayer is valid, provided that you do the forgetfulness prostration. So you do prostration at the end of the prayer, then your prayer is valid. Okay, and if you miss it deliberately, like you know that you have missed it and still you do not do the prostration of forgetfulness, in that case your prayer is going to be invalid. Okay, so it is of a lesser degree compared to the pillars of the prayer. Okay, that makes sense. And the final is what we call as the sunnah. It is something that if you do it, you will be rewarded for it, and if you do not do it, then your prayer will remain intact, meaning your prayer will not be rendered invalid. Okay, so today what we are going to do is we are going to discuss about the obligatory parts of the prayer. So we already discussed the pillars. What are the pillars of the prayer? And in this video we are going to discuss about the obligatory parts of the prayer. So number one is the takbirs. So takbir, I'm not talking about the first takbir when you start prayer, because that comes under the pillars of the prayer. Now this takbir which I'm talking about is when you move from the one position to the other. So let's say you are standing and then you say takbir and then you go down. So I'm talking about this takbir. Okay, the excluding the first takbir, all the other takbirs that comes into when you move from one position to other, you're going from one prostration and coming up and then going again for the second prostration. So I'm talking about this takbir. So this takbir is obligatory, meaning you should do it, and if you miss it deliberately, then your prayer is going to be invalid. Okay, now second one is the tasbih. So the tasbih, when you say in bowing, and Subhana Rabbiyal Azim during the bowing position, during the ruku, and Subhana Rabbiyal Ala, which is said during the prostration. So I'm talking about this tasbih. This is very important. So, and the third one is called the tasmih and tahmid. So what is this tasmih and tahmid? So this tasmih and tahmid is, once again, so you are in bowing position and then you are coming up. You say Sami Allahu liman hamida. This is tasmih, and then Rabbana walakal hamd is what is called the tahmid. Okay, so this is the fourth number. And also in conjunction with that, when you are in prostration, so you have to do the sitting between the two prostration. You have to say Rabbig Firli. Okay, and the final obligatory part is the first tashahhud. So what is this first tashahhud? Is when you sit between after every two rakah. After every two rakah, you go for the sitting position where you recite the At-Tahiyatu lillahi was-salawatu wa tayyibatu assalamu ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu assalamu alayna wa ibadillahi as-salihin. So this is the first tahiyya that you say. So these are all comes under the obligatory parts of the prayer. Hope it makes sense. So let me recap once again. So it is the takbir from moving from one position to the other, and then you have the tasbih, which is the Subhan Rabbiyal Azim and Subhan Rabbiyal Ala. Then you have tasmih and tahmid, which is Sami Allahu liman hamida and Rabbana walakal hamd. Just one thing to note here is that if you are praying in congregation, the mandatory prayers, the five prayers in congregation, so if the imam say Sami Allahu liman hamida, then the person who is praying behind the imam, they can just say Rabbana walakal hamd. Alright, and then we have the Rabbig Firli, which I told you, which is the between the two prostration. When you sit, you should say Rabbig Firli, and then the first tashahhud, which is done after every 2 rakat. So hope it makes sense, and I will see you guys in another video. Until next time, assalamu alaikum.